Hey guys, welcome back to another Weird Wednesday. I'm Ashers, and this is
Pedo.
Pat. Oh, how was your weekend?
Oh, it was the best times, it was the worst of times. I was fully prepared. Fans of the show will remember that I've been in dad mode the past couple weekends. I've had
Yeah,
very unexciting weekend activities to report, and this weekend was supposed to be drastically different. Um, it was the 10-year anniversary of Rock Island Public House, which is the bar where I do my D&D stuff, and also where friend of the show Mike Vanderbilt works. Kind of like I don't have too many watering holes here in Chicago anymore. I kind of keep to myself and do the family thing, but if you're going to find me anywhere, you're most likely going to find me there. So, had planned on doing that Saturday night, and I had a lot of stuff to work. I didn't have my daughter this weekend, and goddamn is she a burn sometimes. So I looked forward to only having one kid around, and I was going to get to work on a bunch of stuff and like really prep for Weird World, which debuts today, talking about the great state of Georgia, and then also I wanted to put a lot of work into this show because Project Bluebeam is something that I've has been on my radar for a very, very, very long time. And
yeah.
I
When I added it, I was like, "This is a Pat O topic."
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it goes back to Behold the Pale Horse and Bill Cooper and all that stuff. And but I didn't have the specifics. Obviously, I wanted to do a lot of research and didn't do any of that. Got wasted and got drunk fucking Friday night. Drank like 2/3 of a handle of vodka. My notes for both shows were complete gibberish. It's like songwriting. Like my one of my notes for today's show is like the lyrics to "Street Fighting Man" by the Rolling Stones. I have no idea why. Like we
Oh,
was just at the
it's
computer.
actual song lyrics.
Yes,
Okay.
at the computer, drinking vodka and monsters, and listening to the Stones, and was like, my name is called Disturbance. Like I don't fucking know, but
Must have been important.
it was. You know what? I had a lot of steam I had to blow off, and it was good. It was somewhat well deserved, I will say that. So Friday night got wasted. Saturday got up, hit the dispensary, then had to go out to fucking Bufu, Egypt, to do a script reading with my buddy Derek, who's working on a movie whose name I can't remember right now, but I'm first assistant director, and I also had to do play one of the half the cast didn't show up. We had like snowstorms in Chicago all this weekend.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that was like, and I was like so hungover Saturday morning. I like got in the car and just started driving, running errands, not realizing that it was going to be like this. So don't worry, obviously I survived. But then Saturday night, I did end up making it to Rock Island Public House. It was a good time. And then Sunday morning, woke up with a 2-day hangover at that point, and found out that so that was when our radio ad was supposed to air, right? So
Yeah.
my notes for this part of the segment of the "How was your weekend" segment is "The Spirit of Radio,"
Okay.
which is a Rush song. So like, um, I was super stoked. We got ad time on Q101, and they were gonna air it, and they did. But the problem is that when you listen on the app, they use different advertisements because we bought airtime on the radio station for the local broadcast. That's why it was so ridiculously cheap. If you want to buy ad space on the app broadcast, the one that goes out through the internet on Alexa and all that, I'm sorry, and all that shit, it costs a lot more money. So as much as I was telling everybody, oh, you can listen on, whatever the app and do all this stuff. You can, and you should still listen to the show. However, only terrestrial listeners here in the Chicagoland area that pick up Q101 on their radios will actually hear the ad. And
Oh
which
man.
is a little bit of a bummer, but whatever. It was like fucking $30 a week. Like it wasn't that much money. And we have a new radio spot which we can use in other applications as well. Um, so I know I sent that to you. It was very professionally done. Like I thought it was good, but they took out the coast to coast AM for people to fuck, which like is what I thought would get people's like. That's where you understand what we're
Tagline of the show,
right.
right?
It's where you understand exactly what we're all about in one sentence.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because you understand Coast to Coast AM and you understand vulgarity and people who fuck. So putting the two together, it's like, boom, I understand this show. I get what they're going for.
Right.
And they neutered that, which is what corporate radio does. Fucking Cumulus
Well, and then
Media Group.
also like it was pretty good. They did a pretty good job with what they had to work with. But like, what I noticed about it was like, because there's a particular cadence that we both have because we're doing the back and forth, right? Covering the topics that we go over. It kind of sounds weird.
Yeah, so the way that the guys told me was like, we'll do this, and if you don't have an ad, we'll produce one if you give us copy, and we'll do it for free. And I said, well, I have something that I can give you that honestly works just fine for me.
Right.
All you have to do is bleep the fuck at the end. And he said, okay. And I sent it to him. And his response was, this works perfect. So that's what I thought they were going with.
Yeah.
And then when I listened on, and they give me the times, did I send you like the schedule of when
Yeah, you did.
So he had said like, hey, it's not, these are the exact times because stuff happens, but like this is like generally when to listen. So I was listening on my Echo device and I didn't hear it. And I was like, what the fuck? But I heard a commercial break where it should have been. So one of the things that I was obviously very concerned about is what songs are they going to play around our ad?
Yeah.
Right? Because that's magic. Like, what is it? You know what I mean? And one of them was Starseed by Our Lady Peace, which is fucking perfect. It's a late 90s alternative rock banger about transpermia. Fucking, you couldn't pick a better song, right? The other one was Buddy Holly by Weezer, which I do love me some Weezer, but that song is probably like one of my least favorite of the earlier eras. So, but whatever. Starseed is such a win that I'll forgive the Weezer part. And when I didn't hear us played, I was like, well, this isn't fucking right. So I had reached out to him, but I kind of figured that's what it was too, because I'm listening to the ads they are running, and it's all like for like national corporations. It's not like the local shit that you usually hear on the radio station ads, like car dealerships and stuff. And that's when he confirmed that. He goes, but it ran. He's like, it ran during that slot. He's like, here, if you want a copy of it, you could see that we did our, boom, boom, boom. And that's when he gave that to me. I was like, okay, obviously this wasn't some kind of fucking scam, but at the same time, like, I don't know. So it's going to air 3 more times. I'll make sure that I'm in the car listening next time so I can actually hear it on the radio. And
I'll add it to the Patreon, what they did with it. Why not?
Sure. I mean, we can use that again for something else. I was trying to figure out how to just put a picture over it. And I would know how to do it in iMovie, but iMovie, like, all of your pictures are too big for iMovie. So like I thought like, okay, well, I'm going to use this as the audio track and then just use like a picture of us or a logo for the visual, and I could put together like a 30-second video, which is just a static image of our logo or the phone number thing that you put together, right? And then use that audio track as like a background. And I couldn't even figure out how to do that in fucking iMovie. I was like it was very disheartening. So that was my weekend. What else? My kid's all fucked up. He's better now, though. He's getting migraines.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, did you have those growing up?
I did, yeah.
Okay, so did you get them, like... Because I remember getting them, like, when I was hitting puberty, and then they kind of went away. And then when I got an office, when I stopped being, like, in field engineer and started being, like, a desk engineer, I started getting them again in my 30s.
So I got them because I needed glasses. Okay. But I learned at a very early age that if I had migraines, that means I didn't have to go to school.
I think there was a part of that going on here too, but please continue.
Lots of that in my own childhood. And I sold that shit. I sold that shit so well that I would get CT scans and all that stuff. And nothing was ever wrong, right? So it was good. But I missed a lot of school because of it. And, eventually that ship kind of sailed. They were like, well, we don't know what to do. At that point they wanted to do like extreme measures. I can't remember what, but, I had weird issues growing up. I like randomly remember this all the time. I think I was like touched by Jesus or something at some point in my life.
Ties into today's show topic.
It sure does. I had like this is not migraine related, but I did have like this giant mass on my jaw. Okay, like this huge fucking big old fucking golf ball size mass. Okay, and they didn't really know what it was, right? So they wanted to remove it and figure out what it was. So I had gone and I had gone to the children's hospital because I can kind of remember it, but I had to have been like under the age of 4, and they were like doing like a bunch of prep for surgery that was going to happen that week. And then the day of the surgery, when I woke up, it was gone. And nobody ever really knows what the fuck happened. It just was gone one day.
Wow.
Yeah. And then, like, later, a little bit later in life, I talk about my teeth. I've talked about my teeth. Maybe I haven't talked about my teeth on the show, but if you've met me, hi, I have bad teeth. I need dentures and I'll get them soon. But, but I also had like an incident where, like one of my lower gums on one complete side was like just completely fucking black. I mean, completely fucking black for like, I don't know, a good 6 months. And then eventually it just went away and it never, it just was normal. I don't know. I don't know why those things happened. As a child, nobody's ever, nothing like that has ever happened again. Aside from the fact that I got bad teeth, but who knows? I don't know.
Yeah,
But,
I was trying to explain to my kid like puberty is just a crazy time because your body doesn't you don't go from childhood to adulthood overnight. Like your body grows in different ways. So like I had really bad knees when I was a kid. And it was because I was going to be super tall, right? But you can't just how do you grow super tall like with your feet and then your legs and then and I guess that's one way you can do it. But like for me, like my feet got really big and then my knees got really big. That way it could support the rest of me as it grew. Does that make sense?
yeah.
And when my knees got real big, like they hurt so fucking bad. And like I just remember like a 3-month period where like I couldn't bend down. Like I was just like it was like crippling. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And like honestly, like the same thing happened with my cock where like it got huge and the doctors just kept saying, like, well, the rest of you is gonna catch up to it. And it never did. And even now, it's like fucking a baby's arm. Like it's fucking massive. And like I don't know what to do with it. Like I try to do push-ups with it in my trailer, and like some people keep saying I should do an OnlyFans, but I'm
Like that
camera
guy.
shy. Yeah,
Speaking of which, you guys definitely, I mean, listen, if you're not on the Patreon, Pat already said it. We have a new episode of Weird World
yeah,
over
that was a
there.
bit, by the way.
But we also have the Lost on Wednesdays We Talk Weird episode that only aired for 1 week. And you can only hear it
Too
over on the
hot.
Patreon.
Too hot for the airwaves. It was
Too
taken
hot for the
down.
airwaves.
People
Figure out
actually,
why.
you know what? Most conspiracy theory podcasts, because I researched this week's topic a little bit differently. I listened to other podcasts episodes on this topic to see what they did and to actually kind of hold counsel with my peers and see what they thought and what they did and their approach to it. And I will tell you this: those fucking people would die to have been literally threatened. We were threatened with physical violence because of this show topic, because of this.
Yes.
Yes, we were. There's no like, oh, they're going to come after us. This motherfucker was going to come after us. That's 100% real. We've survived that. We have that notch on our belt, And guess what? We fucking crumbled like bitches and took it down. But if you give us enough money, you can listen to it on Patreon. So
Yeah. Well, it's still on Patreon. For the record, it was Pato that crumbled, not me. But
because I was worried about you. You're a single mom.
that's what he says. It's okay. It's all right.
Oh, you fucking let him come for me.
Listen, the man spent time on Mars. I don't blame you for being scared of him. Okay, it's fine.
I was 100% worried about you. That was it.
He was responsible for the fucking slaughter on Mars or whatever the fuck it was that he said. We've said it before. I'll say it again. If you only subscribe for the 1 month just to go listen to that episode, it's absolutely worth your $8. I promise.
I agree.
But anyway, I had a very uneventful weekend for the most part. I've been doing a lot of just things on my own lately, and it's okay. It's all right. I don't hate that. Sometimes you just gotta kind of go into yourself and do your own things. I built a lot of furniture. And
oh, that's right.
I did, and I still haven't resolved that issue. But the furniture itself, I built great. It's my fucking work computer that doesn't work now.
You know what? You have to put that question out on Twitter. Like the amount, first of all, the amount of I understand the amount of mansplaining you have to deal with is like nauseating, but you don't think we have enough fucking Geek Squad members that listen to us that can get that shit fixed for you in like 15 minutes?
Yeah, and like literally anybody could, but like I'm just gonna take it up to the office tomorrow, and they're gonna give me a new one. So,
There's that
and
route
even
too.
like, it just I don't talk a lot about my day job, but I'm just gonna say, man, this whole ordeal has really proven to me how much the people that I work for fucking don't know a goddamn thing. Like
Welcome,
they don't
welcome to the
even
public sector. Uh,
they don't even like understand what I'm saying. And I meant, listen, you guys, it's just not reading that the one monitor is plugged into the other. That's it. That's all it is. That's the problem. And my boss is like, well, why isn't your laptop working? I'm like, oh my God, it is. My laptop is fine.
dude,
And then, so they want me to bring fucking everything. Okay. One monitor that's out. I got two monitors that I use. I got one monitor that's out. They want me to bring both monitors and my laptop and my work phone all up there tomorrow to the fucking distribution center. That's fucking 35 minutes away from me. I have to pack all this shit up and carry it all in there. And I got the big fucking monitors. I'm like, why can't I just bring the one monitor and its hookups? I don't, what? And then they're like, well, you're going to have to stay here and work your shift here. I work from home. No, I'm not. I'm not staying. I will call off for the rest of the day. Bye. I'm an adult. I'll go home and finish my shift at home because I can do my job still. I just need a new monitor. That's it. And I don't even need that much. So, anyway, so I'm a regular jerk off to you guys. Like I'm not that different from all of you. I do regular, but I did. I said a couple of weeks ago I watched a really good movie. I did watch it again, and it still holds. Bones and all, check it out, man. That is some good stuff. I was talking to somebody. Well, I made a post on social media about how I don't like A24 films. I think we talked about it here before. Don't like them. Don't like him. Especially not a fan of Ari Aster. His movies fucking blow. They're not good at all. There's, somebody had like talked about Hereditary, and of course they were mansplaining to me what it's about. I know what the fuck it's about. It's just that there's movies that do it way better. Than that dumbass movie. Okay. And that's what I told them. Okay, well you should check out this movie because it actually does it way better. But Bones and All to me is like it's like what A24 is trying to do. It's just that they do it better. They actually tell an interesting story with interesting visuals, and it's just I don't know. I really liked it, so check that one out. Because it was good. But that's it really. That's what I did this weekend.
I mean, if we're gonna talk media real quick, I gotta throw out this week's The Last of Us. Have you watched that show?
No, we can't talk about it.
Okay.
I haven't watched it.
It is everything. It is one of those things where I downloaded the game because it was like free on the PlayStation Network and got into it a little bit and didn't really like the game. I watched the show because I figured, what the fuck, I watched the show. And I liked the show. There was a lot of buzz around this week's episode. And I didn't know, I had no background in the game going into watching it. And I didn't know I was vaguely aware of the discourse on Twitter. And I watched it last night and was in fucking tears the entire time. And so much so that my wife was like making fun of me, like talking shit the whole fucking time. Sitting there in the recliner, like, you just want to be loved so bad. Fuck you. All this stuff. It is, if you need a good cry, watch it. You don't need to, I don't even think you really need to watch the show. I think you could like just watch episode 3. And it would have the similar effect. It is so fucking powerful and moving. And it is, I mean, everyone involved in that, I'm not going to give too much of it. They're all going to win fucking Emmys. And well deserved. It was absolutely beautiful. And it's good to have that like cathartic cry. And I definitely needed one. So if you need one too, episode 3 of season 1 of Last of Us, it'll make you wet.
Okay.
In the face.
In the face. Wet all up in the face. That's the kind of weekend I want to have. A wet face weekend.
I know, right?
Okay, well, No, I haven't watched it yet. I will watch it. But people seem to like it, so
Yeah.
there's that.
Y2K movies, Speed Racer, because I know we probably have fans that are into the Speed Racer comeback thing that is going on right now for some reason. So check that out too.
There's a Speed Racer comeback happening right now.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, honestly, within the past year or two, I don't know if like Speed Racer has become a gay icon or if it's because the Wachowskis or whatever. But like that movie came out in 2008, no one really gave a shit, even though it was the first thing they directed post the Matrix trilogy. They had written V for Vendetta, but it was actually directed by their cinematographer. They didn't direct that one. First thing they directed was Speed Racer, and everyone just kind of like shrugged at it and was like, "Oh." But now I feel like in the past couple years, it's become um, this just like people drool over it. You know what it is? It's like the
The
fucking
cult movie.
well, it's like a Halloween 3 where everyone was like, Halloween 3 is actually a pretty good movie. It's like, okay, buddy. Like, it's the same thing. Speed Racer is like on that track. We're like, Speed Racer was actually a pretty good movie, and we covered it because I liked it I went and saw it in the theater. I've always been a Wachowski's fan, and I've always been an anime fan, and I've always been it's definitely a very heady chaos magic stoner visuals, anime translated into live action, wild ride about racing.
Does he win?
Chimpanzees.
Speed Racer?
I don't want to give it away.
Oh my god!
Matthew
You're
Fox
telling me
is in it
Speed Racer
too.
didn't win?
Were you a Speed Racer? Did you watch that
We
cartoon?
talked about this already in like the last episode,
Oh, geez, never mind. Go back.
or maybe the episode before that.
I'll go back and re-listen to us and remember what my
Yes,
response was.
recently we talked about Speed Racer.
Okay.
I said yes. I was a Speed Racer person. Back in the day, but I didn't watch the movie. I didn't know there was one until you talked about the show. So,
Yeah.
anyway, want some news?
Sure.
Here's some interesting news. The Doomsday Clock.
Yeah.
So the Doomsday Clock, for people that don't know, is basically like a metaphorical clock to the end of humanity.
Right.
It pretty much like takes the climate of people right now and where we're at, and kind of tries to predict how much time we have left on our planet. The Doomsday Clock recently was moved 90 seconds to midnight, which is the closest it has ever been. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now it has has gone to and fro a couple of times now, but now it's the closest that it's ever been. And when they move the Doomsday Clock, this isn't just like some hobby. Like this is a team of fucking scientists like that have this thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's not just some like fucking neckbeards, with the Doomsday Clock predicting humanity's fate.
But it's also a self-appointed, and I'm going to look up who they are right now because I don't know off the top of my head. But it's a self-appointing body that created this thing. It's not like, you know what I mean? It's like an independent organization.
It is,
Yeah.
right? Well, most scientists are, but again, these are educated people. That's the point.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what they had whenever they move the hands of the clock, okay, which, like I said, it goes to and fro a lot. They do attribute it to specific factors. One of the biggest factors they had cited for moving it 90 seconds to midnight was the Russia's war on Ukraine. Any type of war is bound to fuck up it fucks up a lot of things. Our financial stability. It fucks up our not economical, but ecological stability. It's not good for us. Another thing that it cited was climate change, which is no brainer. We're really not doing anything about that. So, the clock just keeps ticking. Bio threats, which I thought was interesting. I don't really know what the hell that means.
Well, biological warfare. Like people that think that COVID was weaponized and released from, oh my God. And then did you see the Pfizer shit that happened this week?
No.
Oh, they talked about how they're mutating viruses in the laboratory so that they can preemptively create vaccines for them, which seems like something normal that you would do, but a lot of people are taking it as you have a pharmaceutical company admitting that they're making killer diseases for profit or something. that they're forced evolution for profit. Which is, yeah, I mean, is one way to look at it, but it was fucking all over Twitter, and that's what that dude that played Shazam, Zachary Levi, said something about it, and now they're trying to cancel him because he called out Pfizer for it, and you can't be an anti-vaxxer 2 weeks before your tentpole DC movie comes out. Like, that was a fucking miscalculation, buddy.
Oh, I know, right? Just wait like a month.
I know.
put your bad opinion out there. You know,
Yeah.
Let the internet hate you then, but let them pay to see the movie first.
Sure.
Yeah.
Project Veritas. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that, but keep it. I'm not trying to hijack your thing. I'm sorry. Go on.
No, it's okay. I will comment on that for a second, guys. Pharmaceutical companies and laboratories have been mutating viruses since we could mutate viruses. That's not a big secret. That's how COVID-19 started to begin with, we believe, is that it was created in a lab in China that has not just Chinese scientists, but actually scientists from all over the world that look at virology and how it affects things. And that's, like I said, probably where it came from.
It's called directed evolution. And I guess people feel like you should just wait until something is killing us before you bring it into a laboratory and try to figure out a cure for it, instead of preemptively trying to figure out how a virus is going to mutate next, directing that evolution. Because you figure out, like, okay, in the wild, it'll probably respond this way and evolve in this way.
Sure.
But we're going to make it evolve that way in the laboratory, and then we can create a vaccine for it preemptively. But some people are afraid that, like, well, when you do that, you're creating the very thing that you feel the need to. It's like you're creating the enemy.
Right. Then it could get out.
Exactly, which is how they think COVID started in the first
place. Which is, yes. Well, okay, I agree with that. Then that's pretty, I mean, anyway. Okay, back to the doomsday clock. So maybe that's what they're talking about with biothreats.
Sure.
Stuff like that. This one was really interesting. Going off of everything that was just said, they cited disinformation. That's a good one.
Especially given this week's topic as well.
Yeah, that's a really good one. That just goes to show that, like, we are literally so fucking dumb that we are. Not all of us, but some of us are so fucking dumb, and we just are driving ourselves to extinction even closer because we choose to be dumb and just believe things that can very easily be disproven. That's that. And then disruptive technology as well. Probably like AI is what I'm assuming they're talking about there.
Social media in general, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I could see that. So, doomsday clock ticks closer to the end there.
And the hands of the clock are set by the Bulletin of the Atomic Scientists, a group formed by Manhattan Project scientists at the University of Chicago who helped build the atomic bomb, but protested using it against people. 2 U of Chicago faculty members sit on the Bulletin Science and Security Board. They are board co-chair Daniel Holes and former chair Robert Rosner. So it's 2 guys from Chicago, so obviously it must be true. I take back everything I said about dismissing the validity of the doomsday clock, given that it is a timepiece set by people from Chicago.
Can you go see
it,
Pato?
Implicitly. I don't know if it's here. I don't know where it's at. I thought it was in London for some reason.
Yeah, I thought it was like across the pond, but I don't know. Maybe we'll look into that.
Well, you know what? We're going to look into it right now. Where is the doomsday clock?
Yeah, look that up. I'm curious. I want to go visit the doomsday clock and get my picture taken by it.
It's set every year at the. So it doesn't. It's University of Chicago. Yeah, you can visit it. It's
that's fucking
1307 East 60th Street. Oh, that's the hood. But whatever. It's Hyde Park. I guess it's not that bad. Yeah, we can go. I'll take you there.
Let's go to the doomsday clock.
We'll go get tacos afterwards, or a hot dog or something.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
A hot dog.
With mustard, no ketchup.
But yeah, so I thought all of those points were very interesting, and I definitely deem them pretty valid for reasons that makes sense, right? I'm not really questioning any of those reasons. That makes sense. And just the total lack of any world leaders, not just America, just everybody in general, not working towards these issues. I mean, just to continue, like, let's just ignore it, right? And eventually it'll go away. Well, it's not going to go away. We need to work on the problems here and figure out a solution. But I'm just a person with a podcast, so I don't. What the fuck do I know? But that was all I had. That was all I had for this week's news.
Yeah, so my news are all drunken and fucked up. I was going to talk about this week on singular14.com. They talk about there's a story whose headline reads, "I believe that someone or something flies around in Waukegan, Illinois," which made me laugh because I know where that's at. And there was a sighting in August of 2020 where a family of 5 was saw a winged humanoid fly over Market Street in Waukegan, just south of the Waukegan Harbor and 500 feet from Lake Michigan. So Waukegan is north of the city, just south of the state line between Illinois and Wisconsin. And so that was where my notes started. And then I started talking about how in the 90s, I used to lay concrete driveways for my friend's dad's construction company. And we laid the driveway of Eddie Belfour, who was a Chicago Blackhawk, and he had an airport in his backyard, which has nothing to do with anything. And
Okay.
that's where we're at with Pat's news this week. I told you it was a rough week. Kind of shit the bed on both the Weird World and the. But if you like a reverent commentary like that, please check out this month's Weird World, because
We talk a lot about music for like 40 minutes.
it's just like that. It's because that's what I do when I get drunk, is I listen to fucking Spotify. You know what I mean? I'm not an angry drunk. I'm not like a horny drunk. I literally like to just drink and listen to music. My 2 favorite things in the world: headphones on, beer in my hand. I'll be fine for like 5 hours straight. So that's me. But I wanted to bring back something that we kind of got away from, which is doing the weekly shout outs. And I want to give a shout out to Cheap Tracks, a history of Cheap Trick song by song, a podcast hosted by a friend of the show, Mike Vanderbilt, and his co-host, Chris Castaneda, who I spent some time drinking and talking about music with Saturday night. So they have a podcast. Mike's got tons of podcasts, but him and Chris do this thing where every episode they'll take one single Cheap Trick song and they'll talk about the production history, how it was recorded, the personnel, why it's significant to the band's history. And I thought this was a great idea. They're on the second season of the show, and I boycotted the first season because the special guests that they had on were absolutely unbelievable. And I'm a hater. I don't know if you guys realize this at heart, but I'm a fucking hater sometimes. So they had gotten Greg Kot, who's the Chicago music critic for, I think, the Tribune. He wrote Learning How to Die, which is this book about Wilco. So he's a Chicago music critic. Steve Albini, who I'm sure everybody here knows who Steve Albini is. He produced In Utero and was in Big Black and was in Shellac and a bunch of other stuff. Famous Chicago music guy. And Rhett Miller from the old 97s. So they had all of those guests on their podcast in the first season. And I said, fuck that. I'm not going to listen to that podcast. What a bunch of assholes. And then I broke down and I listened to it for the second season after I met Chris at a Black Wednesday party last year. And he was a very cool guy. Or not Black Wednesday. Mike's fried chicken and champagne thing that I thought was going to be an orgy, and it wasn't an orgy. The best part about that whole thing was that I met Chris, and I was like, this ain't an orgy, but this is still a pretty good party, because Chris seemed like an all right guy. And just want to give their podcast a quick shout out. Cheap Tracks, a history of Cheap Trick song by song. If you don't like Cheap Trick, then you're not going to give a fuck about this podcast. But on the off chance that you are one of the few, the proud, the Cheap Trick fans, you'll really dig it. And I consider myself a Cheap Trick fan. And as much as it took me to begrudgingly listen to it, I'm glad that I did. And I'm still not going to give them the listen count for the Albini or Rhett Miller episode, because fuck them. But the other ones seem pretty good. So give it a listen. Just don't listen to Albini or Greg Kot. I'll go back and listen to, because I really like that guy. He's a good writer. But Steve Albini, fuck yourself.
Are you keeping a list of these shout outs?
No.
Damn, I'm not either. I don't remember who's been shouted out.
Mothman 46.
Twice. Yeah.
We'll do number 3. He gets the semi-chub this week. Mothman 46. Thank you for migrating to my new Instagram account with me, where he's still
a pleasure. Yes. Yeah, he's definitely that's one upstanding citizen right there, Mothman 46.
Right.
So,
thank you for your service.
Mascot of the show. We don't have one of those. Anyway. Okay, well, are you ready to talk about Project Bluebeam now?
Let's do it.
God, I hate this.
Why? Why? So let me ask you, because I know you're going to be like, "What do you know about this? Why did you pick to do this?" Let me ask you that. What?
Because enough people talk about it. I mean, so I'll come across. So I curate topics from the show through a mixture of, sometimes we'll take suggestions, but honestly, the list is very long. So I'll like come across something in the wild and I'll add it to the list. Sometimes it's things that I'm knowledgeable about that I'm just like, oh yeah, there's that thing. Oh, and sometimes I don't know shit about it. This one, like I said, I know a couple of people that subscribe to this fucking stupid idea. And I am judging you for it.
I don't think it's
Um,
stupid.
oh my god,
I
Pat O.
I will. Let me just say, hold your tongue, woman. I I don't think that it's going to go down like this, but I think there's so many like shadows of this and shit that actually has happened. I don't think it's that far fetched. I don't. It's very woo, but like it's not as. Let me put it like this: when I first heard about this in the mid '90s, I laughed it the fuck off. Now I still don't know if it's going to go down like this, but I take it more seriously now than I did 20 years ago. I'm just saying, 30 years ago, actually.
I'll tell you why it was stupid, but not yet, not yet.
Okay.
So, for people that don't know what this is, or maybe you're vaguely familiar with it, Project Bluebeam, essentially, okay, the bare bones is that it is a conspiracy that this guy wrote a book about, stating that there was going to be a one religion government under the New World Order in order to, I guess, better control people. And then there's like particulars kind of leading up to that. So this guy, what's his name? I didn't put his fucking name down here, and he's a big,
Sergey
Here we go, Sergey.
Monast, and he's Quebecian, so he's French. As a fellow French descendant, I should be able to pronounce that better. Probably Serge Monast, I guess.
I'm gonna say Sergey because I believe it's Sergey.
No, Serge.
Serge. It's Sergey. I think it's Sergey.
What the fuck ever? Who cares? He's dead.
Who cares? Right?
He was suicided, which I'm sure is completely coincidental. So he can't come after us.
He didn't kill himself.
Well, no, he had a heart attack, but
Yeah, died of a heart attack.
yeah.
But anyway, so he wrote this book called Project Bluebeam in 1994, which states that NASA and the UN are working together to basically create a fake second coming to prove that there's like one religion and to get everybody under this one religion together. And it doesn't really make a whole bunch of sense as to why they would do that, but
Right.
apparently it makes people easier to control. A little bit about Sergey. He was an investigative journalist from Canada. Like Pat O did mention, he did die very shortly after the book was published in 1996 of a heart attack. But some people think that he was poisoned by a psychotropic weapon.
Yeah. The heart attack gun. That's what they came after me with, but I fucking dodged that shit.
Is that what happened to you?
No, I didn't have a heart attack.
So I won't get into why I think it's bullshit yet, but we'll kind of talk about so the main framework of this is that this was supposed to happen in like steps, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And so the first step to this was that there was going to be a breakdown of archaeological knowledge. Okay. So basically, NASA, whoever, we're going to use science to prove that all religion is wrong. And in a very specific way at that. He said that there was going to be a series of earthquakes, which would uncover archaeological artifacts, which would then prove that go against what we know.
The fossil record, yeah.
In Christian religion, right? And then explain something else. No, this has happened. Natural disasters have caused things to kind of shake up and for us to make discoveries, and so some people call that proof. I don't. I just call it science. Pato, you got anything to say about step one?
Well, is that what Graham Hancock is doing? I mean, there's lots of people that have very strong opinions about the history of mankind, and this idea that's currently, I mean, look, I don't know. I feel like Oh, there's so much to this. I feel like, yeah, the fossil record is contested, right? I mean, there's people out there that think that the world is 8,000 years old. There's a lot of people out there that think that the fucking world is 8,000 years old, right? There's some people that think that we did not descend from apes. There's some people that think that evolution is something being forced on our throat by fucking evil scientists. I mean, there's a lot of. I don't think what you consider to be common sense is no longer common sense, right? And there's a lot of people that have very strong different opinions about where we came from, and the idea that there was going to be something scientific there's gonna be a scientific discovery that was gonna be false, that was gonna tip the scales immeasurably in one way so that it to be irrefutable. I mean, that's something that we hope happens eventually anyway, because then we can stop debating where we come from. That's what's gonna happen if we ever truly learn where we come from, is what he just described. So now, but in his scenario, it's a false flag. It's not true. It's planted evidence, right?
Right.
But we should hope that the same thing would happen and it's not fake evidence. But the thing is, the only people that are going to know for sure aren't going to be people like us. We're not going to be able to tell if it's fake evidence or not because we're all the way over here. And the only ones that are going to know for sure are the handful of people that are all the way over there. So do I think that step one is plausible? Yes. I think that part of step one is an eventuality. Whether or not it's done with ill intent or not remains to be seen. But even then, we might not even know.
Well, how could it not be
I
ill
told you I'm a
intent if
fan of
they're
this fucking theory. I
purposefully
don't know what you expect me to
planting
say.
artifacts?
Because
I'm
unless it's
curious.
real, maybe they're real artifacts. That's the thing. We won't know if they're planted, right? If they pull something out of the ground tomorrow that proves anything definitively, right? Then this what I'm saying is that like we won't know if it's fake or not. The only people who are gonna know they're fake. I think I'm just repeating myself at this point. It's an echo chamber, but I think I stated it pretty well earlier. Like there,
The only people that would know it's fake is NASA and the UN.
well, not necessarily NASA and the UN. That's a weird combo. There's a lot of shit about this that I don't subscribe to.
Well, there's a reason why there's NASA's involved, and we'll get there.
Right.
But like that's what he's saying is that this is all planned by NASA and the UN, and so that's what that's just what we're using the framework by.
Sure.
But what you're saying is that like some other entity could plant artifacts, and like the archaeologists and shit digging up those artifacts aren't in on it. So to them, it's also real.
No, what I'm saying is that given the nature of archaeological exploration, eventually at some point we would hope that we discover things that point to definitive proof of where mankind came from and our journey over the past 8,000 or 800 million years or whatever, right? So that's why we keep looking. It's because we want to find more stuff. Right.
Well, yeah, sure.
So the idea is that someday we'll make a discovery so big that it will answer all these questions, and that's what the ultimate goal of everybody is, right? Is to keep answering questions,
right.
To find something so big it answers all the questions. My point is that to be suspicious of what they find being legitimate or not isn't completely unreasonable. And people like you and me won't be able to make the distinction whether or not that evidence is real or not. We'll have to take the word of the people on TV that hold it up and say this is legit. And it's not going to be someone like me or you. It's going to be some faceless person on TV that never been in my kitchen that's going to tell me that they just found something that definitively explains the history of mankind.
I gotcha.
Right.
I will say very confidently that, the only way that we will know exactly what happened is not going to be some smoking gun artifact. That's never going to happen. The only way would be time travel. If we can invent time travel and travel back and see what happened, then, but then, I mean, that's a whole other can of worms. Like, how can you like survive the Big Bang? I don't think you can, or whatever happened, just personally, this whole mystery of where we came from is never going to get solved.
All right. Right.
That's my view.
Okay.
But this is more about like an attack on religion itself, which I don't see happening. Like, I just don't see that as like a unified. There's no like conspiracy against religion. Um,
Yeah, there is no war on Christmas. Christmas won,
right.
right?
Yes. Right. And obviously this guy is coming from a Christian viewpoint. So that
Right.
is important to
The,
note here.
Christians still rule the world. Just because your barista says Happy Holidays instead of Merry Christmas does not mean that Christians are
Yeah.
being persecuted and thrown to the lions. Fucking.
Well, they don't rule the world. Less than 30% of the entire world's population is Christian.
Well, you know what I mean. Like we are not some
They
like
rule America.
we're not some maligned, marginalized group. We're okay,
Yes.
and
Yes,
no
right.
one's you're not persecuted like you think like people like to claim they are sometimes.
Yes,
You know.
exactly. Right. There's no right. I don't believe that's happening. I mean I do believe that we find things and they are what they are. I mean, we haven't found fucking most of the shit that we find is like, oh, these people believed in these, fucking 20 gods or whatever. It's not, and that doesn't hurt Christianity. It shouldn't hurt Christianity, for other people to believe in things or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that there's anything definitive that we'll ever find, like I said. So anyway, that's step one.
Mm-hmm.
Step two is a little easier, and this is by NASA's involved, because step two to this process is going to be this gigantic 3D holographic laser projections that take place in the sky. So what's going to happen is over the sky, and depending on the area. So if we are in America, a projection of Jesus will appear. Okay, but if you're in like an Arabic type country, you're going to see Muhammad, whoever is important to your religion, whatever figurehead you have, you're going to see those entities in the sky. And what you're going to see happen to those entities is they are all going to physically merge into one entity.
Yeah, that's part of the insane part. I think that might have been the first draft of Project Bluebeam, but I think that makes no sense. That does not work. That doesn't
Now,
work. That because
other,
you know what? I will say this: like, you come up with a plan, and then you work on it, and they've had 30 years, and I'm sure that they've revised that part out of it because that would not work. People's suspension of disbelief would shatter, and they would all realize what they were looking at was complete, total fucking phony bullshit.
yeah, we'd be like, what's a laser light show? Or what
Yeah,
about people that are atheist?
it just doesn't make. There's so many holes in it. It doesn't make sense. There's two.
No.
Like you said yourself, Christians are 30% in the world. When the United States is the melting pot. What about my fucking Muslim neighbors? Like, what the fuck are they gonna? We're both be looking at the same thing as me. No, it doesn't. That doesn't make sense. That would not work. You know what I mean? If that
Right, you can't put a projection in the sky that the whole entire world sees at the same time, and that's kind of the idea, is that the whole world is going to see all of these religious figureheads show themselves to them at the same time. So while we see Jesus, yes, we can also see Muhammad over there, and they're telling all of us, hey, guess what? We're all the same, and then they merge into one being.
okay.
I didn't write this pattern.
I know.
It's ridiculous.
It is ridiculous. It is. And
That's
this
what we
is where,
said.
like, in 1994, I was like, bullshit. You know.
Yeah, that's crazy. So I mean, there's that. But this is basically to actually simulate the second coming. Okay, so this is what this is supposed to represent, is that this is the official second coming. Okay, we've started, right? Things are getting crazy. Step three. Step three is telepathic communication. So he's saying that NASA is going to use low frequency radio waves to telepathically communicate with all of the humans in an attempt to shape their beliefs to match those taught by the New Age religion. So if you already didn't freely go ahead and subscribe to those big gods in the sky there, then NASA's going to force you to believe it using mind control.
I think that step 3 got redesigned when they took out step 2, and aspects of step 3 have been incorporated into step 4.
Okay. We'll get there.
Yeah.
But that's all you got to say
That's
about
all I have to say about that, yeah. That
Okay.
I don't believe it's gonna go down like that. I think we'll get to this next part, and that's where that'll come into play.
Okay. So step 4 Okay, and this is pretty much the final step, I guess. I couldn't find any steps beyond it.
This is the part that fucks.
This is the part that fucks. Step 4 is to create a chaotic event that makes people desperate enough to accept the New World Order. So it's to make them believe that possibly, okay, a popular theory to this is that an alien invasion is happening.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's something very scary. Another way that this could play out is by making people believe that the rapture is happening. Okay. And another one is to it's fucking weird. It says the goal of this one deals with global satanic ghosts all around the world in order to push all population on the edge to drown into a wave of suicide, killing, and permanent psychological disorder. I'm not quite sure what the fuck that means, but that's another way this could play out. But step 4 is where a lot of people come into place here. So this is where I've heard of Project Bluebeam.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I've heard of people talking about like UFOs and like the government disclosure of UFOs and how they're saying that like UFOs is just Project Bluebeam. It's just them trying to stir up or get us ready for this alien invasion that's going to happen that's not going to actually be real. Like weird clouds and shit happen in the sky because it's NASA testing out their Project Bluebeam technologies in order to make this happen.
Mm-hmm.
Now, on the flip side of that, then you have people that obviously the rapture, okay, so you got people physically on the ground leaving the bodies. Those aren't real people, those are holograms. That's why we've been putting a lot of work into holograms, just because of this big plan with NASA and the UN. And you're going to see people rising up and rising into the sky like you would in the rapture.
That's nonsense. Yeah.
And then also the pandemic. People blame the pandemic on, blamed Project Blue Book for the pandemic, saying that, obviously COVID's not real, none of that's real, and they're just doing it because it's the final step in Project Blue Book, despite the fact that we still haven't seen our giant Sky Daddy projection or telepathic communication. But it's just me.
Bluebeam. Yeah,
Oh
like
yeah.
I said, I think steps 2 and 3, the reason for those were to dismantle religion, organized religion, to the point where we were susceptible to believe the alien invasion thing. And then that way we would turn to the government and relinquish all control.
Because we're scared,
Right. And I think that, the Sky Daddy thing, like you said, is ridiculous now. And obviously whatever, let's pretend for a second that what this reporter stumbled upon, he really did find something, some kind of document or some kind of mission statement. Clearly he found something that was very old. Like, I mean, at the time it might have been recent, but at the time they thought they were going to do it in the 80s, and then it never happened, and then it was going to happen in the 90s, didn't happen. Year 2000 didn't happen. So if he really did find some kind of document, it's easy to believe that it was a draft of a document, a draft of a plan. And that doesn't mean that that document that he found, or whatever information he found, is still the fucking, legal bullet pointed legal pad that these people are going off of today, right? Things happen, plans change, right? I could see this plan makes sense to a certain extent. If it, and it makes even more sense to me if you take out steps 2 and 3. If you take out the fucking hologram projection, I mean, look, we know the hologram technology is there, and that was the other thing too. Is that back in the day, it was like, what, like a fucking hologram, like that cheap shit? No one would ever confuse that with reality. Bitch, they did it with Tupac, right? Like they could do that now, and they do that now with shit sometimes. So like we know that like the technology being there for something to be that realistic is not as far-fetched as it was in 1994. Okay. The idea that some of these sky anomalies that people are seeing, be it UAPs, be it cloud formations, how about that cloud pussy thing? Did you see a picture of that this week?
No.
Oh my, Google cloud pussy right now while I'm ranting, and you'll fucking
Oh my god.
don't bother wearing socks because they're about to get blown straight off. Some people say that this stuff is them trying out this technology to see how believable it is. Okay, let's do a sky projection in Tempe, Arizona, and we'll leave it up there for 45 minutes to an hour. We'll make sure there's plenty of fucking photographs and YouTube videos, and then we're going to sit there and we're going to watch the comments and let's see how believable it is, and let's take notes, right? Why do people buy it? Why do they not buy it? What are the red flags that people have? They're going to sit there and they're going to fact check your homework for you. They're going to grade you. It's like an audience score, like showing the first cut of a movie to a theatrical audience and then asking them, what'd you think? What would you change? Did you like the movie? Right. So maybe, and that's the thing about this kind of like, if you're actually going to run this kind of operation, you got one shot to do it. And if you blow it or the public doesn't buy it, you have completely fucking outed yourself as someone trying to attempt global manipulation, right? So you get one chance to fucking get this right. And it could be that whoever originally was going to do this or whoever authored this document that this fucking reporter found, it could be that they don't have the balls to pull the trigger yet because they don't think that they got it right or they need more confirmation. This is a one and done thing. If you fuck this up, you just fucked up everything. And them dragging the UAP thing out all of a sudden, you know what I mean? Like those things never went away. Those sightings never went away. But now they're dragging it back into the spotlight. Why? Why? I'm not saying that has anything to do with Project Bluebeam, but it's one idea one could entertain. You know what I mean? It's okay. Like I'm listening. Like I said, some of this stuff makes sense a little bit. And as someone that's heard this theory 30 years ago when I was in fucking high school reading Behold the Pale Horse, I laughed at it then. It seemed completely ridiculous. Did not seem as ridiculous this time. That's all I'm saying. As it's grown on me a little bit. And when I look around, I see more shit that's like, well, it's not exactly apples for apples, but there's certain similarities here. Something about this shit's rhyming. You know what I mean? And it seems a little bit more believable to me.
Well, I'll tell you who wrote that document that Sergey based this entire book off of. Okay, his name is Gene Roddenberry. You ever heard of Gene Roddenberry, Pato?
I may have. It sounds vaguely familiar.
Gene Roddenberry worked on this little TV show, and he took this idea and he pitched it for a little movie. You might have heard of it, Star Trek.
It was a TV show, yeah.
And initially, it was supposed to be the original concept of the Star Trek movie. It was not. They ended up going with a different idea. So Roddenberry then put it out as a Star Trek novel, which came out very shortly after the movie, sometime in the very early 80s. Mm-hmm. And this is, hold on, word for word, exactly what happened in the Star Trek novel, which at the time, you did have Trekkies and stuff like that, but you didn't have a bunch of them. You didn't have the spread of information in 1994 like you do now. So when you put this book out to people and they're not familiar with every single Star Trek novel out there, especially not this weird, obscure one, then yeah, it might seem like a pretty cool concept, but that's where you got the idea from. And it's not hard to find that information out. There is a smoking gun to this one, because I guess the guy just fucking thought, man, that slaps. That story is so good. I bet that's really happening, and he put it out there. Of course, we know art imitates life, right? I mean, so it's not so far fetched. I doubt old Gene has any type of ties to the UN or NASA. I mean, he might. I don't know. But he put that out there, and old Sergey wasn't he was known for being a big sci-fi fan, so he absolutely ripped this 1,000% from the Star Trek book. That's what happened. And I should have written the title down. I didn't. I should have. But just Google Gene Roddenberry and Star Trek or Project Bluebeam, and you'll find it. And there it is. I mean, I agree with you. I've been saying it for a while. I did think that personally, there is some type of rhyme or reason to the fact that, we've got this UAP discussion happening now. Why now? I'm curious as to why now. But why did they do it with Project Blue Book? I mean, and nothing ever came out of that. So, I mean, I don't know. Maybe they just do it every couple years. I don't fucking know. And, put it out there just because they're getting more people involved. And, the more people you get involved, there's like a popular theory, okay, and it's that, once you have 3 or more people involved in a lie, then that lie unravels. Statistically speaking, one of those three people is going to speak, right? So then you're talking more and more and more and more and more, right? And you're going to have more people talking. It's almost impossible. We as humans, we're not good at keeping secrets.
Oh,
We're not.
I disagree with that one. And everybody listening right now that knows me in my personal life knows exactly what I'm talking about. And I will not go into detail on the air because I'm just not going to do that. And I can tell you when we get off because I don't know if you know this fucking story. But people have vaults, and you can get a whole bunch of people to keep their mouth shut for a very long time if they have a good enough reason. I understand what you're saying, though. That's not me being super. I'm not shitting on you, shitting in your Cheerios too aggressively there. But I think if maybe some people out there have examples from their personal life, people can keep secrets. You know, I don't know. not to be not to be too cryptic.
I understand.
Cryptids,
I get it. I understand.
Yeah.
Listen, I know. I talk to people that work at the base. I know that they, and especially those kinds of people, they are fucking brainwashed to believe that they can never, ever, ever fucking talk about the things that they do. However, that shit slips in regular conversations. And it is interesting to watch how it slips out because they won't elaborate and they'll say something that's so fucking off the wall. And you are just kind of expected to just be like, oh, okay, and ignore what they just said. And it's interesting, but so I get it. Listen, I know. And brainwashing is very real. So we know that that's real. We can prove that that's real. But I think that this would take so many fucking people, and it would take so many, not just like big people that we don't even know the names of that work behind closed doors and this, that, and the other. I think that it would take people, smaller people too. And I don't know. I just think that this would be really hard to keep secret. I think it would.
Yeah, I can see a scenario where, and this, here's the thing. Somebody had to think this up, right?
Right.
And whether or not that person either was Serge, either he thought it up for his book, or the fucking New World Order hand puppet that thought this up for his proposal of, plan for world domination 136B, So obviously somebody had to sit down behind a typewriter and write out this fucking plan. All right. Either one of those people could have been Gene Roddenberry fans. You're maintaining that, okay, well, it must have been Serge. He was a Trekkie, and that's where he got this story from. Or the dude in the New World Order was a fucking Trekkie. And that's where he got the story from. You know what I mean? How many like this is something that happens all the time. The US military does work with the entertainment industry to I remember this right after 9/11, and I don't just I'm telling you, people, fucking Google it. After 9/11, the fucking government, CIA, FBI, whoever, I don't know, whatever alphabet agency you want to come up with, the military, they pulled in people like Michael Bay, people like Tony Scott, people like Bryan Singer, all kinds of fucking Hollywood directors and story writers and filmmakers, and said, okay, they just flew fucking planes in an office building. What else could they come up with? Because you guys are more creative than us.
Right. So doesn't that show you right there, Pat, just how fucking incompetent these people are to create a new world order?
Well,
that they have to get fucking Michael Bay in on it.
Here's the thing. They haven't done it.
They haven't done
it. And maybe they never will. And maybe that's why we never really have to worry about this too much, right? Is that you're right. Like, the UN can barely get fucking toothbrushes to Kosovo. What the fuck are we worried about them, like, somehow effectively governing the whole entire world? Like, it's probably not going to happen. It'll probably never happen. That doesn't mean that it wasn't a goal. That just somehow, how sometimes you got big plans for the weekend, right? Like, you're going to go out, you're going to get all this shit done, right? Maybe UN just had big plans for the fucking humanity and just never got the shit done, right?
You drink the whole weekend.
They fucking drank a fifth of vodka Friday night, sat there and listened to Spotify, and their notes for world domination ended up being fucking CCR lyrics. You know what I mean? Fucking,
fair enough.
And they're people. They're people just like us. You know what I mean? And not only that, but they're broy military people. No offense, Mothman 46. I'm just saying, like, hey, just because they never pulled it off doesn't mean the intent wasn't there.
I
Right.
understand.
And I honestly, there's something that rings so fucking true to me about a staged alien invasion. Like, I always like to say the truth has a certain ring to it. Like, there's certain things where you might not be able to explain it, and you might not. Maybe I'm fucking psychic. I don't know. But like, you might not be able to explain it, and you might not be able to fucking quantify it. But sometimes certain things just sound fucking right. And a staged alien invasion to control that's the only fucking trick left. Right.
So that's the part of the story that you like.
And because that comes from Reagan's fucking mouth. That comes from Ronald Reagan himself. That's a famous fucking speech he gave about if some otherworldly threat threatened humanity, we would put all of our fucking silly differences aside and unite. That's something he fucking said, I think, at the UN, if I'm not wrong. Right? Look that shit up. Like that, and that is why that sounds right. So the idea that like
the UN was like, that's a pretty goddamn good
or
idea.
Whoever, I don't know why I know they said the UN in that, but we'll throw that piece of information out with steps 2 and 3. Fucking had nothing to do with the UN. But like the idea, like that idea sounds like something that if you were effectively trying to control a population, you have to unite them underneath a common threat. And with the world just being the way it is, the only common threat you could really do at this point would be what? Fucking aliens from outer space. So that, and then now you're going to fake that alien invasion with hologram technology where shit looks like it's up in the sky. I mean, that doesn't seem that far-fetched. And we get so much of our media through the TV and the news and the internet anyway. I mean, how many like fucking Siren Head videos have you seen? Where it's like, footage of Siren Head stomping around the woods. That shit's not real. Look at all the cryptid videos that are fucking faked and posted online that people buy. How hard would it be to fake alien invasion footage? Right? It's just a matter of like maybe that's what the chemtrails are, is they're building a fucking movie screen in the stratosphere to project this shit on. I don't know. I'm just saying this doesn't, of all the crazy shit we've covered on this show, this is not the craziest. Like this is like I would say in the top third of the most somewhat believable. You know what I mean? I feel like there's traces of this that you look at and you're like, well, I mean, maybe it's not like this, not like what he said back in the 90s. No, not like that. There's no fucking Sky Jesus that turns into Sky Buddha. It's fucking goofy. That would never work. We're too jaded of a culture. It's fucking, you know what I mean? Not enough people believe in any of that stuff. Like, but take that out of it. And I think you're left with something that's not as insane as, fucking Dogman.
I respect your opinion.
Okay.
No, I knew you'd like this, so I don't want to take that away from you. You're allowed to like what you like, and you're allowed to believe what you believe. That's fine. I don't. I think this is total bullshit and it's ridiculous. But that's me. I'm just fucking person with a podcast. I don't know.
It would explain the alien phenomenon, the UFO phenomenon, pretty well to me.
I think that would. No, I don't think so. Just because, okay, so here it is. Like, here's this one guy with this one idea, this one theory, right? So if you were to subscribe to that idea, okay, then you are throwing out every single alien abduction that's ever happened. You're throwing that away.
You know what? What was okay? But let's back it up a little bit. Step 4 has them using like not mind control, but like intrusive mind projections to make people simulate. And here they refer to them as like demonic ghosts or something.
Yes. I don't know what that meant.
Right. But I mean, okay, so recontextualize that as fucking UFO stuff. I mean, you even know, like, think about my experience, and I don't want to turn this into the thing,
sure,
but like, think about the fucking epilogue to that story.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That actually fucking fits with this. That was never that. It was something else. And I don't know. I don't know. I'm not
I'll
saying
let you have that.
all abductees are full of shit. I'm just saying that, like, I don't know.
No, I'll let you have that. I understand.
Yeah.
I can't. I know. If you want to hear that story, go subscribe to the Patreon. Pato spills the tea. I mean, he talked about it here, but man, he really talked about it over
I
there.
don't think
Uh,
I have spilled the TT. I'm still holding on to that last one.
you
That's
got a
that
last drop of tea in there. Yeah,
that's the last little squirt.
it's very flavorful. But yeah, there is. And maybe one day Pato will squirt that tea at you. I
Oh,
don't
buy
know.
me a beer and ask me in person. I'll tell you. I'm just not gonna
Yeah,
fucking.
yeah, he
Yeah.
will. That's true. Just hang around the booth for long enough at one of these events and buy some shit, and he'll spill it. But yeah. Anyway, I mean, I get what you're saying. And I understand. I do understand how that could become personal for you. And again, as much as I respect that, I just don't subscribe to this. And
Yeah.
mostly that's just because, like, man, that's so goddamn boring. I would hate for that to be true. And also because, like, okay, it's 2023, which, regardless of however old humanity is and how long we've been here and what we know about our history, we at least know that we have been here as a somewhat organized unit for the last 2023 years. And like you said, Pato, there is no new world order. It hasn't happened yet. Um, fuck, that shit would have been so easy to pull off 1,000 years ago. People were really dumb then, and it never happened then. I just don't think it will ever happen. Now, whether or not somebody has tried to propose the idea, well, sure, probably. Growing up, I mean, especially being a '90s kid, we really glorified world domination. I don't know why. I don't know if that's like Pinky in the Brain talking or what, but I mean, we were really like into that idea. So, I mean, it's not like just as individuals we haven't individually considered that. It's not like we haven't had dictatorships, that tried to do that. But nobody has, and I don't think anybody ever will.
Well, right. Like, look at I think this is like the final point I want to make is that, like, why would people want to take over the world? Because we want ultimate. Okay, what do you want to take over the world? What do you want? You want a lot.
Everything, right? You
You
want everything.
you want what? You want, like, unlimited sex slaves? Okay, well, you can get that. All right, what if we just gave you that? Do we still have to fake an alien invasion? Why, like, world domination? Well, we want to make sure that we have control of all the resources. Can't you do that through capitalism? Like, I feel like
Yeah.
every goal, like, there might have genuinely been a point in mankind's history where there was some shadowy cabal of people that thought that they had to enslave everybody through a one world government and one currency and one religion and one language and do all this Alexandrian shit and all this stuff and make all this fucking stuff that was written on Latin on the side of fucking statues. And then they realized, well, I mean, couldn't that plan evolve over time where it's like, look, all we really want to do is, like, be able to have fucking orgies and have the access to the best medical care and have fucking slaves do everything for us.
Right. Buy whatever I want. Yeah.
Yeah, and, like, give me that, and I don't care if, Argentina is a sovereign country as long as I can exploit their resources when we need them.
Right.
And that's
Right.
what we figured out a way to do through fucking companies and business, like, and that was it, and that was fine.
Yeah.
Population control. Well, now there's going to be too many people. All right, we can figure out a way around that. We'll fucking do whatever. You know what I mean? We'll introduce fucking crack into the ghettos, or
Let's make birth control free. I mean, fuck, we haven't even done that. The simplest of things.
right. Like, so I don't know. I mean, I think that people talk about, like, we still. I don't know. That's my dog. This is the dog I don't like.
Cute.
Go away.
Aw.
Go away. But she always comes up here when I podcast too. I don't know why.
She wants to talk to me. Hi.
I think she knows. She's like, you got another hole on your headset. Um, I think we should keep ourselves open to the idea that plans change over time, and that what might have been these old. I think we're still operating on a very, 70s, 80s, 90s, very late 20th century conception of what world domination would look like or feel like or what its goals would be. Those plans might have changed. Okay.
Sure.
It might have taken on a different form and they might have, revised some of the documents, but that doesn't mean that there's not still people. There's not, I'm sorry, that was really gross to do on there. That there's not a ruling or organized, a ruling class or organized body that's trying to affect the trajectory of mankind. I still think that that's very possible. you know.
Everybody's got a kill switch. Look at one thing that's really interesting and not depressing at all is going and watching the videos that networks have at their disposal for in case the end of the world is imminent. Somehow, you know what? I've been trying to talk about this for a long time on the show, and I guess Project Bluebeam it is. They did that in Gremlins 2, right?
Yeah,
So
but those
this is
that's
a real thing.
100% medically accurate. Yeah, they
Yeah,
do.
that's a real thing.
Yeah.
And so again, everybody's got a kill switch. We should do that. We should do an episode where we should record our end of the world episode, and then like I don't know, keep it
Oh,
just
and
in
then but
case
no, we couldn't because like, what about all the things that you would only say if you knew that you were
today.
gonna die tomorrow? You
We
wouldn't
got to
say,
do it in like we got to do it like every 5 years. We got to put a refresher one out there every 5 years.
we can't record ourselves speaking those truths when we know that, first of all, we wouldn't be that honest because we know that this is just an episode we're doing. I think, you know what, I think that would be fun to do. I think if we went to a live event where we had like, we could do PowerPoint videos where we show different ones and we fucking riff on them and talk about them and stuff. I think that would be the way to share that media with our audience. You know what I mean? Is to put together like a presentation where we show like the CNN. I've only seen the CNN one, and I know,
Hmm.
but I know, and then like you talk about Gremlins too, but like it's a thing, like they
It's a
exist,
thing. Yeah.
and you could find a lot of them because they get leaked, and people like, you know, some AV nerd gets a job at fucking TBS and is like, oh my god, and they
Yeah.
fucking bring a copy home and then they put it on YouTube. So they're out there. I think that would be a fun thing to do when you're not giving your Mothman presentation. Is just talk
Let's
about,
talk about it.
yeah, because people would like,
Yeah.
you think about it. You play it in front of an audience full of people and they'd all be laughing and shit, and then we could just kind of talk. You know, I don't
But this is the last thing you're gonna see before you die, and then we blow the fucking place up. Um,
know. No, and then we have the orgy. Be like, think about what you would really want to do before you die. It's not fucking sit there and watch CNN for the last 30 seconds of your life. You're gonna, you know.
yeah. Right, exactly. But no, that's a real thing. Anyway, the point of it is that every big organization has some type of plan in place for catastrophic events that need to happen. We do, I mean, just we do. I mean, if you don't think that information's out there, I don't know what to tell you. You gotta get with the program.
Right,
It's out there. That's why the CDC has a fucking document on zombies. Like,
right.
it's out there. There is a plan for everything, and world domination could be out there. It could very well be out there. I could jive with that idea, but to think that it's a genuine threat that is happening right now, I don't jive with that idea. I just don't see it. And I know people. I know you guys never think about this. I never think about this. Never thought about it until really just now. But these people in positions of power, believe it or not, they're just people. Like, okay, maybe somebody actually physically comes and wipes their ass for them, but they still shit. Like, that still happens. They're just people. And I think that the majority of people are just people, and we kind of forget that, and that's why it's easy to be an asshole on the internet to other people, or because you just forget. I mean, that's why it's easy to flip off and cuss out that person that just cut you off in traffic. But you don't know their situation. You don't know what they're trying to get to or what they're doing. You just assume that they're a bad person. They're probably not. They're probably just a person. They probably have shit, and so they're trying to skip traffic to get home. Who knows? Nobody knows. And I think that's something that gets away from us a lot because we just don't really have the capacity in our heads to really consider all 8 billion people on the planet, and that's not anybody's fault. It's normal. But yeah, so I mean, that's my takeaway from it. I don't know. And you know,
I
so
guess one of my takeaways is just to look at COVID and the way that that was rolled out, and how divisive we were as a species. I mean, across,
yeah,
not even in America,
everywhere. Yeah.
all over the world, about the way it was. You had total compliance in Australia where they fucking just lock people in their homes and shit, and
Yeah.
2 weeks to kill the curve turned into fucking 18 months, and or still, I don't know however long it's been. We're still kind of going in a certain respect, but like, you know, there was we didn't all fall in line. Whatever line is, whatever, however you want to perceive that, right? Whether or not you're a vaxxer or an anti-vaxxer, the fact that there's two divisions there just says they couldn't get everyone on the same page. And that's why I think a program like this is bound to fail, and I think they realize that. There's no way you could convince people of what they're seeing in the sky is real, because there's people that won't believe shit's real. There's people. I mean, look at like the Q people. You know what I mean? Like, there's so many, and whether or not they're the nutballs or we're the nutballs, the fact that there's two camps just speaks to it.
Well, there's always two camps about everything.
Well, I mean, but when your goal is total worldwide servitude, you're trying to fucking put everyone under one world government. You're trying to convince everybody that thing in the sky is a fucking spaceship and that we're about to be invaded. There's people that'll go out there and look at that and be like, that's not real. And there's some people that'll believe everything they see on TV. And there's some people that, could have every expert in the world telling them that they need to do something or they should do something. And they'll believe that someone with a handful of YouTube followers that says, this isn't
it's not
true.
real.
Right. And you'll have people that say, hey, I did my own research. I looked up Project Bluebeam and this is fucking bullshit. Or you'll have, that's what I'm just saying. Like, I don't think something like this could ever work. And I think all you have to do is look at COVID and that's not me saying that COVID wasn't real, but like where you had something that was real and you have people completely convinced that it wasn't. Or you have the fucking all the Trump shit that people buy into.
Oh, God,
which isn't real. Now, does that mean like who are the Q people? Are they the ones that would buy Project Bluebeam, or are they the ones that would be skeptical of it? I don't know.
They'd be our saviors if it ever did happen. Let's be honest, they would. And so that asshole that you fucking hate, they serve a purpose. As much as I hate to admit it, they do. Right. They do.
No, they'll be the ones raiding fucking they'll come up and whatever.
They're gonna fight against it and save your ass, which sucks because like I said, I hate those people too. My grandma, I didn't say this, my grandma died of COVID Sunday night actually, and which I'm okay. It's an interesting. My family's weird. It doesn't matter. But she died of COVID, and she's actually my step grandma. But one of her sons is a COVID denier. Doesn't think it was real. Did not want her vented because they were just trying to kill her so that they could make money off of her. And this and all this shit that he says has easily been disproven, easily. And he still doesn't think that's what killed her. He thinks the hospital killed her on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And he's stupid. That's stupid. That's ridiculous. She died of COVID. She was 82 years old. The woman, this is the third time she's had COVID. COVID fucks you up, even if you have it once. Even if you don't think it fucked you up, it does. It changes the way your body works. And we know that because of science, yada, yada, yada. Now, that guy sucks in that particular situation, right? He's the asshole in the situation, screaming about suing the hospital and fucking going to the news and this, that, and the other. Except the news is fake, but
he's the reason
the asshole
Project Bluebeam wouldn't work. Yeah.
Right. He's the asshole that would save us from something like that. So, I mean, as much as, I know it's hard not to like sit around and go, man, these people are just a waste of space. I mean, they serve their purpose, and let's just be happy that they are not the majority. They're not. They're actually the loudest voices, right? Are the stupidest, or the stupidest people have the loudest voices rather. And they're really not the majority. We know that. And so we can at least be thankful that that's the case and try to keep it that way, right? We got to keep those people under control. And we just simply do that by sharing information. And you're not going to share information by yelling and being cruel to each other. Nobody's going to listen to you when you're being mean to them and insulting. That's just not going to happen. You're not going to change anybody's mind by being a jerk. I'm not going to listen to somebody that's calling me names and, tearing me down as a person. Why would anybody else? They won't, so, I mean, be love and light, right? Do everything with love and light. But also, sometimes you just got to wash your hands and walk away from those people and be thankful that those people exist because they're saving you from total world domination. So
amen.
So anything else, Pato, you want to add to this?
I could not. I'm gonna steal a line that Daniel Thorndyke used on me when I gave my summation of Speed Racer and this week's episode of Y2K. I could not add a more perfect statement to that that should be written down on the tablets for people to read in the future. So we could just end it there. Perfectly said.
I'm going to put it on the Georgia Guidestones when they get rebuilt. Um, anyway, all right, guys. Well, in that case, we'll see you back here next Wednesday.